All right, cool. Oh, shoot, he can't connect. I wonder if he's in his car. Could be.
Hey, howdy, howdy. How's the audio?
Hey, how's it
Hey.
going?
Can't complain. Nobody would listen anyway. How about you guys?
That's for sure. So I welcome everybody to the Wednesday rally, and thanks for coming and showing up today. We're going to be talking today about for sale by owners and expired listings. And David has been nice enough to come back on with us and share about how he is working those deals. And I have to say, that's not something that I do typically. So this is going to be good education for me as well. I'm starting to work luxury expireds out here, but I haven't had a lot of success with it, so I can't speak on that. So David, I'm interested to hear.
How long have you been doing that?
I just started, so I'm trying to buy all the things I need beforehand. So I bought a binding machine. I have a laser printer on the way. So I want to be able to, we have this really cool thing at EXP in the luxury program where we can print out some really amazing collateral. And I'm going to bind those and then take those with me to drop them off to the sellers. And I have a little script.
Are you binding your open house books too?
I love those. Yep, I'm binding those. You know what else I'm binding are the, and Gabrielle knows this because she came out with me last weekend, is when I have new buyers, I put all of the listings we're going to see in there. That was one of your ideas. And a little blank piece of paper behind those so they can write their notes. They loved it.
Oh, loved people it. Freak out.
Yeah, because nobody else is doing that.
She tells me, I was like, here's everything we're seeing. Make sure you take notes. Here's your book, blah, blah, blah. And she goes, you've already done more work in the first like 2 minutes that we've met you than any agent we've ever met. I don't know if that's necessarily work, but just the theater of it wows people so much that it feels like you did something crazy. It's all in the theater. It's all in the finesse.
Well, it's a service, right? Yeah. And when we were with these buyers, they kept toggling back and forth in their binder, like, oh, what was the feature in that other house? But having that booklet was just that service at their fingertips instead of just different pieces of paper.
Right.
And it was appreciated. So
yep,
it's a nice gesture.
Yes, it was a great idea. So we
for
stole
luxury it. Open houses, or not open houses, for luxury expired, canceled, what's your approach going to be?
I'm going to drop off this packet to them that has all the information in there. And then I have kind of I'll share it with you. It's great. Actually, I should put it in the chat. It's like, you know, what happened last time and how I'm going to combat that. So it's like a series of 6 questions about what the problem could have been and then how I address that.
Very cool. Really?
Yeah, we'll see. I'll keep you posted. I'll let you know how it goes.
So for open house, oh no, I'm so sorry. I'm still stuck on open house. For expired, canceled, and for sale by owner, I'm gonna say they're gonna be they're different approaches, right? Because one is they're cheap, or whatever their motivation is. They don't want you. They do not want you. They don't want to talk to you, but they're eventually going to have to. We know that statistically, right? We know that 8 out of 10, if we're going to be really generous, 8 out of 10 for sell by owners always wind up hiring an agent. Doesn't matter what they say, doesn't matter what they tell you on the first call or the second call or the third call. And the reason I say that is because this is expired, canceled, and for sale by owner. This form of prospecting, like all forms of prospecting, is going to be a grind, right? But it feels even more like a grind because it can get a little bit discouraging because they're gonna be saying stuff like, oh, you know, I already told you I'm not interested in this, interested in that, and it can get even a little bit combative. So it's a different type of phone call and it takes a different type of person, I'll say. So what I would say is the lower hanging fruit is the expired canceled. And why is that? Because we already know that they did what?
They wanted to sell.
Yeah, they already
Not
listed.
only, I'm sorry, Chris?
They'd already listed and did not have a successful
They
transaction.
hired an agent.
Right.
So there's one thing that for sell by owner and expired canceled have in common is out of all the listing prospecting and farming we do, we're trying to find somebody who wants to sell their house, right? These people, they've already said, oh, I'd like to sell my house. Oh, I'm ready to sell my house. I'm actively trying to sell my house. And that's what we call it the lower hanging fruit. Now expired canceled again is going to be that little bit easier because they've already hired an agent. They're already willing to pay a commission. For sale by owner, it's going to be tougher. You know, a lot of agents, they say, you know, I never cut my commission. I charge 3%. We do a 6%. And if they don't want that, then that's going to be the end of the line. You know, you're not the customer for me. You probably shouldn't go into for sale by owner if that's going to be the case. And you know, I don't want to say, oh, they're cheap. You know, that's just me making a joke. But you know, they might have things in their life that you know everybody has their own thing going on that we don't always fully appreciate. You know, maybe they can't swing a 3% or a full 6% commission. That's a lot of money. You know, in Arizona, we can have a house 800, a million as just an average neighborhood. That's a lot of money, 6% of that. So, you know, with what's going on in their head and having empathy and having a lighter touch in just in regards to not trying to strong arm them, you know, you don't take the time to get to know, you know, what's your motivation and why is it that you are, if commission comes up, you know, why is it that you're reluctant to pay that full commission? Is there a number that you absolutely have to walk away with? If they tell you that, you know, maybe do the math for them. So, you know what, have your net sheet calculator up or, you know, whatever in your MLS is available and, or that your lender or title company has given you and run that calculator real quick before you even hop on the phone maybe, or while you're talking with them and say, you know what, even with my commission, if we get you what my suggested listing price is going to be, that range, you're actually still going to walk away with that money. But not only are you going to be able to walk away with that money, but you're going to be able to list it professionally with somebody who does this every day for a living, get it done and walk away. So it's maybe something that they haven't considered. It's just a mind frame thing where you're saying, oh, commission, I'm going to lose all my money. So sometimes that's one thing that you might want to take into consideration. Now, the expired canceled, they've already said that they want to sell. They've already hired an agent. They already gave that agent a chance to sell. Why didn't they sell? So a lot of the time, you know, you're going to be talking to expired canceled and you're going to say a lot of scripts will tell you, I try not to get too much into scripts, even on like a phone call like this, because it's, don't just say what somebody else told you to say. Take the bare bones, take the bare elements of what every script usually has in common and just make it your own. Say something that feels natural to you to say. Speak the way, like there's some things that are in a script I would say, and I'm like, David Pohl would never say that. That sounds ridiculous. But some people are like, oh no, that's awesome. It's a great line. So I would recommend that if you're gonna have a script, take the bare bones. I'm sure EXP has something available to you where you can at least take the bare elements, the flow of the conversation, maybe even the objections that you might have to overcome, and all of that, make it to you. And you know, when you're on the phone, you know, you're going to be talking to them. They already hired somebody. One of the things that I was kind of going down a different line there. One of the things that they're going to say is they're going to say, oh, well, what is it that went wrong? Why do you think it didn't sell? Or what feedback did you get from the other agent? That's going to set them off. It's not a good conversation. They're going to be like, oh, you're just going to tell me what every other agent tells me and this and that. And, you know, it's the, because I didn't paint my house and, you know, that's why I couldn't sell in this. And you're going to say, you know what? Clearly you're savvy, right? You know, you've been around a couple times. You know, that's not the paint on your house that stops your house from selling, right? You know that, right? And I say, yeah, it's not. And I'm like, okay, well, what is it? And there's going to be two things. Either they're going to tell you the truth, what they think that's really holding the house back, or they're going to admit that they're full of it. They don't know what they're talking about. They're just frustrated. And if they give you an actual gem, you're like, oh, wow, that's valuable information. Let me take that down. Here's my recommendation for that, because we're all real estate professionals. And if somebody says, oh, my house has a septic tank, or, oh, my house is on a busy street, or whatever it is, we have an answer for that, right? We can say, oh, you know what, if your house is on a backing or siding a road, maybe we didn't have that appropriate price point. Did you know that unfortunately, most houses that are backing or siding or nearing traffic are actually going to sell for maybe 10% less in your price point? And maybe educate them. And, at this point, they have to accept it, right? They're not going to be able to disagree with you because the house didn't sell. But if they don't tell you anything, say, no, I don't know. They'll tell you what, for every single house that was expired or the agreement canceled, there's always one reason in common that was the reason that it didn't sell. Would you like me to tell you what that is? Or could I share that with you? Get that yes from them. A lot of these conversations are going to be Socratic. You're going to need to gain agreement from them. You're going to need to have their hand the entire time, because you need them to say yes. You need them to feel like they're controlling the conversation, even if they're not, because that's going to let you continue the conversation. So they're going to say, sure. And you're going to say, it's the truth. It's the truth. Every single time, every expired canceled is the truth. Either the client didn't want to hear the truth, they were willing to hear the truth the first time around, or the agent was so desperate for business that they weren't willing to tell the client the truth. So they failed you when it comes to their fiduciary duty to you. But it's because they were so hungry, they were so desperate just to have your listing, that they were willing to go along with anything you said. And when they had any bad news, they were not willing to give it to you. They were not willing to tell you the truth. Even from the very beginning, when it comes to listing price or the marketing strategy or whatever it might be. So that's kind of what that conversation might look like. A lot of the time, I think it's just going to be somebody who's fed up and somebody who's going to be still, licking their wounds, so to speak, because, and it's also going to depend if you're going to target certain for sale by expired cancels, or just call all of them. Some people don't like to call the ones that are brand new. Some people only call the ones that are brand new. And, I'll say this for sale by owner as well. Do you know who's also calling these people? Does anybody want to chime in?
Every other agent.
Every agent in town. Every single agent in town. And that's going to add to it. Again, let's put ourselves in their shoes. If we have a bad interaction with somebody over the phone, well, let's think about it, right? If I'm going to put myself in Mr. For Sale by Owner's shoes or Mrs. Expired Canceled, I'm getting 10 phone calls a day, probably more, probably like 20 or 30. I've heard 50. Maybe they're exaggerating, but who knows? Maybe they're not. So what is it that we're doing to set ourselves apart? The first thing I'm going to say is for sale by owner, we're not going to tell them we have a buyer. We don't BS. A lot of scripts and a lot of team leaders, a lot of coaches will even coach you. A lot of YouTube channels will coach you to say, oh, I have a buyer, but I'm not sure if this house is right for them. Let me come look at the house, and then maybe I'll bring them by. You know who's saying that to them?
New agents.
Every agent in town, that because they're willing to lie for whatever it might be, particularly new agents, to your point. So that's immediately going to set them off because they know you're full of, right? I never tell anybody I have a buyer unless I actually have a buyer. So for example, I'll show you actually something.
Yeah, that's a good point, David, because it's about integrity, and people can see right through that. So you want to be honest with them.
Well, can I ask a basic question, just taking a giant step back? Is for sale by owner, is their motivation purely financial? They don't want to spend, is there any other factor that could be that they're taking this on?
In my experience, I mean, it's always going to be financial. It might be an ego thing sometimes. And if it is an ego thing and it's a justified ego thing, you're never going to get them anyways. If they actually are savvy enough to sell the house themselves, you're never going to get them. For the ones that you actually might get, it's going to be the financial piece, right? They can't afford to pay a full commission. They think they can do it without, maybe they just want to try it themselves for the hell of it. Maybe they think, oh, well, maybe worst case scenario, I'll just hire an agent. What's the harm? I can make, if I can put another $50,000 in my pocket, is that worth it to me as a consumer? Absolutely. So that's what I would say as far as typical motivations for sale by owner. Or another thing too, I might say is maybe they think their house is a dump. Maybe they think that an agent won't want to sell their house. Maybe they have such a fixer upper. Maybe they inherited it. Maybe it's a probate or an estate, or it's just a distressed household for whatever reason. But they think, oh well, I can't put this on market, with an agent, and I'm not going to get any money for it, and then I'm going to have to pay a commission on top of that. If you have investors in your pocket, if you've taken the time to build connections where you could say, tell you what, I can actually shop this out to 20 investors right now and get you an all cash as is, no credits, no repairs offer, close in 7 days. They might perk their ears up in that case.
Yeah. Yes. And to that point too, for you guys on here who are with EXP, we have a great, it's called express offers within EXP. And that is just, you have all kinds of investors, cash investors in there. And then also you have people who will buy and hold properties. So when you get, and you can submit other people's listings on there as well. So it's, yeah, that's a great thing that we have.
And it could be a good way to even make a little extra income too. Say you submit somebody else's property in the office, you acquire a buyer from them, and you say, hey, I actually marketed your property for you. And again, obviously you want to be able to get permission from them to market their property, but hey, I marketed your property for you. I actually found you a buyer. Are you willing to do like a small referral? A lot of time they might be, and they'll say, oh, shit, thank you. So I'm part of my friends will say, wow, I can't believe you actually got that done for me. I haven't been able to sell this house. And especially if it is a fixer upper, and they'll say, awesome, yeah, let me give you 10%. I mean, something's better than nothing.
Absolutely.
Now going back to expired cancel from persona, expired cancel, again, they're going to be frustrated. They're going to be annoyed. They're going to be let down. So that's two different moves, right? In two different conversations, two different tones of conversation we're having over the phone. You want to leverage that emotion in your script if you can. The person who wasn't able to sell their house, they failed, or the person that they hired failed, didn't do the job. There's going to be a certain emotion there that you can leverage. How are you going to do that? That's going to be up to you. Obviously, I can't tell you, hey, do this, because you might not be okay with doing that. I could tell you go sell every for sale by owner's house for nothing, for $1,000 flat fee, but you may not be okay with doing that. So, but think about what your value proposition is going to be to those people. And then for sale by owners, we've already kind of talked about their motivation. What's your value proposition going to be for them? And the reason I say that is for everything that you do, you can't just say the same thing. You can't just have the same script. These people have different motivations and different experiences, and your value proposition needs to fit with them. That goes for expired cancel, it goes for facade by owner, and it goes for even a normal listing appointment. It goes for everything you ever do. You need to act, you can't just regurgitate, parrot, whatever talking points you've been given like a politician during a debate. You need to actually have a genuine, real conversation. And that's why I don't have like a deck up right now or like a PowerPoint or whatever. I like just hopping on with you guys and talking it out and just having the conversation because it's more real. You know what I mean? Chris, I think you want to hop in.
Yeah, one thing that particularly for sale by owners don't realize the exposure they're taking on by doing that. And very few people, and I know it varies from state to state. I'm familiar with Arizona's as well as California's contracts, but there's a huge amount of liability that if that's not transacted properly once they open escrow, that if disclosures aren't done right, I mean any number of things, and people really don't take that into account. You know, that's the deeper value, I think, if you're, you know, protecting their interests aside from the money, of course, paramount. But that coming into that money equation could be 3 years down the road and they get sued because something wasn't properly disclosed.
Yeah.
That's a very good point,
Great
because
point.
again, you're not a real estate professional, Mr. For Sale by Owner. Do you know, even if you did get an offer, what forms you're legally required to fill out, what dates each of those forms need to be submitted by? And if any of those get missed, you're actually going to blow up the entire deal, because the client's going to be able to leave and take their earnest money with them, and you're back to square one. I'll tell you what, I understand you might not want to hire an agent. If you got an offer, I'd love to follow up with you. Give me a call. I'll review the offer for you free of charge. Let me make sure they didn't slip anything in there, because if they're savvy, they might have put something in there to your disadvantage. At this point, you're going to court without a lawyer. So give me a call. I'll review the offer for you. And I'll tell you what, after we review it, if you decide it would make you feel more comfortable having somebody at least carry that through escrow, we do that for just 1%, or we do that for just $3,000. We do that for a flat fee. With that extra assurance that now that you finally got an offer, because I'm sure you've noticed how difficult it actually is to get an offer on your house. Do you really want that to slip through your fingers? Would you like that extra assurance that now you finally got that fish, that it's not going to get off the line?
And
Well,
that's
the-
great
Really
value.
thinking outside the box.
Well, the other thing too, in our current marketplace, the last few years since the pandemic, in most cases, if it is priced right, they're going to get multiple offers. So how do they differentiate between what's a good offer and what's not? Aside from price.
Exactly.
Very
Are you familiar with reviewing outside of purchase price, what terms are going to be more or less, make an offer more or less favorable for you? Are you familiar with the different types of loans and what the stringency, what the requirements of those are? What if somebody writes an FHA loan and they tell you, oh, we're going to give you $800,000 for your $600,000 house? Tell you what's not going to happen. You're not going to get $800,000 for it. You're going to do whatever the bank appraises it for. And on top of that, if the FHA's appraisers that come through and pick apart your house and force you to do repairs. I know you don't like being forced to do things or told what to do, Mr. For Sale by Owner, because that's why you're a for sale by owner. You're the one that knows best than anybody. You're not going to enjoy that experience. So maybe even just a piece of education. And I'll tell you what, you don't have to get all this out on the first call. I really want to take a point to mention that is your first call is probably going to be brief. Maybe it won't be. Maybe you'll have a very long, good conversation. And if that's the case, you should probably be setting an appointment with this person, because at that point, they're going to really hear you out that much. Even if they're saying, oh, well, not now. So, okay, well, I'll follow up with you. Maybe next week, maybe the week after. You should really be getting on their calendar. But most of the time, you're going to be getting off the phone. For sale by owner, 99.99% of the time, you're not going to get a listing. It's just never going to happen. The reason of a for sale by owner call is we're identifying who's open to discussing further possibilities with us. Whether it be in a week, 2 weeks, a month, 3 months, whatever it might be, we're loading them up into our CRM immediately when they give us any inkling of hope. Because we want to do what with these people? The reason that we're putting them in our CRM. Does anybody know? It's critical.
To be able to follow up with them.
Bingo. I can't tell you how many times in my experience, even it happens to me, I go to follow up with one of my for sale by owners, and guess what? They're listed with an agent because I didn't follow up enough. It's my fault.
Yeah.
I had somebody say, hey, tell you what, call me in 2 weeks and maybe I'll list my house with you. I was like, awesome. Look in 2 weeks and it's listed with another agent.
Yep.
Should have called them in 1 week. Should have called them in 1 week and then 1 week and a half. Should have called them in 1 week and then every single day after the first week. It's not up to them. You know, if they give us that little piece of hope, obviously we don't want to go overboard. We don't want to be disrespectful. We don't want to just strong arm and disregard what they're saying. But again, if somebody tells you to follow up in 3 weeks, maybe take a look at 1 week. Just give them a call. Maybe send them an email. Maybe send them a letter. Maybe send them a postcard, a thank you letter. Something that's non-intrusive, right? Because we're not always calling them, hey, are you ready to sell your house? Hey, are you ready to sell your house? Hey, are you ready to sell your house? That's not nice. That's not going to be what they want to hear. Maybe at one, even if they tell you to follow up in 1 month, at 1 week, you just send them a nice little thank you note, handwritten. Hey, thanks so much for talking to me. A lot of people don't. And, I really appreciate you being kind. I want to help you whatever way I can.
I have a good story
There it
about
is.
follow-up. So I had a woman that I called. She was a cold lead, and I called her. She didn't want to talk to me, for 6 months at least, but I kept calling her. Called her one time. She was in the hospital. She had fallen, I think. So she was in the hospital for a bit. And she told me when she was going to be back home. So I sent flowers. And she called me and I got the appointment.
And why did you get the appointment? Because we're not using a script. Well, even if we are using a script, we're not regurgitating a script that we refuse to deviate from. It's because you're having a real conversation with a real person.
Right. And
that's the
following up.
clue. And tell you what, in your CRM, the first conversation, whether it be expired, canceled, whether it be for sale by owner, you better be taking notes for every little tidbit of info they give you. They say, oh, well, we're thinking about moving because my dad is getting older and we want to be close to him and this, or, hey, it turns out, my kids, we don't like the school we're at. We want to go and find a better school district. Tell you what, maybe you'll follow up with them and say, hey, you know what? I really felt for you because, I know how important your children are to you. Here's a list of all of the schools and their ratings that maybe you might find helpful. Give me a call if you have any questions. Shoot an email off or even just send a letter to them where you print it out. Give me a call if you have any questions. So thanks so much for the time.
Yeah.
Do something where you're giving them something that other agents aren't. I guarantee you no one other agent is doing that. Guarantee. I guarantee you Shelley was the only one to send her flowers, the only real estate agent in the state of California that sent her flowers. And then I just kind of want to circle back too. So for sale by owner, we kind of have our own feel for it at this point. We're not trying to get the listing. We're not lying to them. We're just trying to determine who's willing to at least, who's open to the idea. Hey, you know what? If we could actually sell the house, if we could get you the money that you need to walk away from, even after paying me, is that something that you're completely against? Is that something you would never ever do? Well, no, I mean, in that case, maybe, right? If somebody's going to be unreasonable and they're saying, no, I still would never do that. Tell you what, just let them go. You don't have to get everybody.
Right.
If they're going to be unreasonable and they say, I don't care if you got me $1 million for the house, I'm not going to hire an agent. Okay. Godspeed. God bless. Have a good one. But if they say, oh yeah, and some people they'll even tell me, I'll say, you know what, how long are you gonna go? Obviously you want to give it a go. How long are you gonna try selling the house yourself? Is there a time period, by the way, that you have to sell this house by? Or is there a time period you've already decided that if I don't sell it myself by this time, that I'm going to maybe start at least interviewing agents? You don't have to hire me. We can at least have an interview with you. Because we're being transparent about our intentions. We're not lying like all the other agents. They'll say, you know what? They'll tell you. Some people are like, you know what? Call me in a month. Call me in 3 weeks. I had somebody say 2 weeks. I was like, I can wait 2 weeks. I'll call you. And then every single Monday, we're following up with these people. I don't care what timeline they told you. We're following up every Monday just to say hi. I just want to remind you I exist. Hey, I just wanted to check in and see how your weekend went. Weekends are big for houses, big for showings. Did you get any offers? Anything in writing yet that we need to be beaten? I'm actually trying to market the house. I'm looking for buyers to see if it would be right for any of my database buyers, because that's true. I have a database of 600 buyers. I might even on the first call, I might actually tell them, hey, you know what, can I just shop this out to my database? Even if you don't want to hire me to market it to the public, I have about 600 buyers. Can I market it to them? See if anybody of them wants it. It might be a long shot, I'm going to be honest with you, but can I at least run it by them? So now you have a reason to follow up with them. So now you're saying, hey, how'd the weekend go? Was there any offers in writing that need to be beat if any of my people want it? Would they have to beat another offer? No? Okay, well, did you have any showings even? No. How long are you going to keep going? How are you going to keep this up? You're not going to have any showings? Come on. The first week is the most important. And that's kind of the general for sale by owner template I'll give. That includes the first call and it includes the follow-up. The third piece, and this needs to be something for you to decide individually or as a team, what are you going to do to give the value throughout that rest of the process, throughout all those follow-ups, while we continue to make sure we're the agent that gets it, because we know they're going to hire an agent. Hey, here's a free market report. Hey, I noticed a house sold in your neighborhood. Here's the house, here's the info, here's the what it sold at. Let me know, do you have any questions why they bought their house instead of yours? There's got to be a reason, right? Give them value. Figure out what that's going to be. Every time you call them, make it something different. Don't make it just another house sold. Oh, another house sold. Have a variety. I think I heard somebody that wanted to hop in.
I was just going to say, I love the idea of the school list. If you know in talking to them that they have kids and that's a big concern for them, then you know, or even having that and giving it to a for sale by owner and saying, here, you know, here's something that you could give to people when you do have showings, showing all of the great schools, or just like you said, exactly, do something different, just different.
Let's take that a step further. Let's go ahead and make they can go watch the other training. Let's take our open house book. Let's make a book for them. And let's go to their house. Let's give them the book. Not, if you're comfortable doing that, knock on their door and give them. But or you can just FedEx it, because what comes in FedEx? Important things that you have to sign for, that you open instead of just tossing on the counter. But either way, hey, whether it's you in person or whether you send it, call them, follow up, and hey, here's a book that you can hand out to somebody if they want to come see your house. It's a free neighborhood guide. It's everything about your house, the neighborhood, the schools, what there is to do, what there is to eat, and this is this is something that I normally only give to people if they hire me, but I really just want to help out. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you like this. Maybe we can get together and brainstorm some more ideas to help you sell your house. Get that appointment.
David, would you mind to share your neighborhood guide? I mean, I know you're in Arizona and we're not in the same area, but it might be nice to see what you're proposing. I know you had talked about your favorite restaurants, like just to figure out.
I think Shelly had one too that she was working on, so I might defer to her on that since she's in the market. But
yes,
just as a high level, I put a market report in there. I put a neighborhood guide. I put the schools. I put what there is to eat. I put what there is to drink. I put if there's parks nearby. If there's like hiking trails and like mountains and stuff like that. I put those in there. Is there like a museum nearby? Is there what else is there? Just anything, you know what I mean? Like something that is interesting. And then you might even put comparable sales in there, right? You say, hey, tell you what, my house is priced just right based on these comparable sales. If it's not, don't put them in there, obviously, unless it's favorable. But if you're going to give it to the other for sale by owner, have a loose sheet of comparable sales. Like, hey, I wanted to give you this. Okay. I would normally put this in there, but I left it out. I'm going to be honest with you. It's not in your favor. Maybe that'll get the gears spinning.
Right.
And the fact that you did them a solid by not putting it in there, you're giving them info. You're giving them something for nothing. That's the theme. And if they do hire somebody, which I know they're going to, why not you? Why not me? I've been doing all this stuff for you for free. And if they don't abandon it. Start all over. Start all over. Start all over. Because anything you do in prospecting, and this is what I'm going to say about all things, and I'm sure we'll all agree. My dad said something to me just yesterday. We were having a drink, and it really resonated with me. He said, "There's no shortcut to farming," and farming means something different to us as real estate agents. He literally meant farming. He was just dropping a gem of wisdom on me. He said, a farmer goes out there and he plants the seeds, and he has to go out there and he has to water them. And not all of them even make it. Not all of them even sprout. But he doesn't give up. Every day he's in the field doing what he needs to do. There's no shortcut to growing a tree. So keep that in mind with everything you do, including for sale by owner, expired, canceled. And the only reason I say that, and I don't want to sound like a naysayer, but I also don't want to sugarcoat it. These are particularly discouraging and demotivating. You need to have a certain, Teflon toughness to just shove through it. And that's why this isn't going to be for everybody. For sale by owners, and even harder. Expired, canceled, not as much, but you're going to have a high level of competition. And that's why instead of scripts, I kind of took today to just talk about how we're going to set ourselves apart from all those other people that we know are banging on their door. Because we can come up with our own scripts, we can brainstorm, we can also get together and role play. You really need to be able to have that conversation confidently. But even still, the person who's having the conversation not confidently or not perfectly, but doing it every single day for 2 hours versus the guy who's waiting or the gal that's waiting to get it perfected, they're going to win every single day because it's just sheer volume, sheer attrition. Let me just kind of jump on to expired, cancel because we didn't really talk about that. We already have our for sale by owner idea, our whole plan right there, right? For expired, canceled, it's just going to be, you know, hey, I noticed it was for sale. You know, I just want to touch base. I just want to find out, is the property for sale because I saw it come off market? Did you sell it privately? Did somebody buy it? Did a neighbor buy it? Did your friend's family buy it? I just saw it go off market. I'm not sure if it really sold. Or if you just decided to call it to stay there, or if you still actually want to sell it. Just determine, hey, I was checking on the property. Is it still available? Did you want to sell it? Did you not sell it? What's the situation? It's like, oh no, and they'll tell you everything. They're just dying to just give their whole story of, oh no. You might actually be on the phone for 5 minutes. Be careful what you ask for. They're like, yeah, I hired this agent, and they did this, and they did that, and they were a bastard, and this, that, and the other. And they told me they were going to do this, and they never even did it. Whatever they tell you, by the way, what are we going to immediately do? Does anybody know? What's our reaction going to be to what they told us?
Empathy.
Bingo.
I was gonna say kindness.
Any conversation we have at an open house, we are always, you're going to see this a lot, even in the field, or just you're going to see other agents do it. If you're like, if you ever watch like live phone calls on YouTube, sometimes they'll take for sale by owner calls. You could tell if somebody's good or not. And you also see this when people are doing open houses. You also see this when people are role playing in a group with you, or they'll say, shove whatever you said aside. Let me tell you a little bit about whatever I do. You know, like it doesn't make any sense. You know, it's you'll see it a lot. You know, say, did you just blow past the fact that this like girl's dog just died? Like, what the hell's going on with you? But a lot of people will. They're robots. They're robots, and they stick to the script. We don't do that. We have genuine conversations. We have real conversations with real people, is what we say. So whatever they tell you, like, wow, that sucks. You've clearly been through it. You know what? All the time, I see somebody who hires an agent that isn't skilled. All the agent does is they put a sign in the yard and they pick their feet up and wait for people to come. And I'm gonna tell you a little bit about why that is, because the market was crazy. The market was really crazy, and a lot of people got into the market at that time. And because of that, they never learned how to actually sell a house. They never learned how to market. And it sucks that you went through that, you know, and that's why whenever I, you know, meet with somebody, I actually give them in writing my 15-point plan to market your house in writing that I'm going to commit to because I gave it to you in writing. But yeah, that sucks so much. You know, one thing I would have done, I would have at least held an open house. Did they do the open house? And just start having a conversation with them. Draw out more. They already gave you something. They already poured their guts out to you. Roll with them. Don't just go into your sales pitch. Just try to empathize. Try to talk to them. Try to ask them, hey, what was the plan then? Why are you selling? Do you still want to move? Were you going to move somewhere? Did you get a job? Did the kids want to go to a better school? Why were you selling to begin with? Is this just a house you've been renting that you don't want to rent anymore? You want to deal with being a landlord? I have investors, maybe they'll pick it up. You already have it. Figure out what the motivation is too, and just say, hey, I actually might be able to help you out with that. Would it make sense for me to at least tell you what I do? You don't have to hire me, you don't have to talk to me. And you know what? If you decide it doesn't make sense at all, whatever I'm saying, if I give you a book of everything that my plan to get this done, get it sold, get it done, get it off your plate once and for all, get it over with. If you decide nothing in there makes sense, keep the book, show it to other agents if you eventually hire interview them. At least you can say, hey, do you at least do this? But we'll part as friends. You know what I mean? It doesn't bother me either way. And you might even say that, you know, there's somebody that uses that script. I'll say, you know what? Tell me and be honest, because I could take it either way. if I could sell the house, if I could get it done, get it over with, get it all, off your plate once and for all, that's something you're completely against, even in a month from now, or 2 months, or in the future. That's something you would just never ever do. And they'll say, if they're a reasonable person, they're gonna say, no, I'm not that extreme. I'm not a crazy person. No, I would maybe do it. So you know what? Can I just give you some info? Can we have just a quick combo, and then you'll have some information. You're really needing to get appointments with these people. For sale by owner, it's going to be almost impossible to get an appointment with. Still try, but it's going to be almost impossible. Don't push too far for sale by owner. Expired cancel, they might actually meet you. And regardless of what they do, all these people were following up with them, right? And even to Shelley's idea, send them something. Just go leave something on their doorstep.
Mhm.
Just do something where you're still staying front of mind. You're still giving them something for nothing.
Mhm.
And that's kind of where you're going to go for expired cancel, because we already know that they're willing to list the house. They're willing to pay a commission. They just are frustrated. Right. So you know what? We're just going to wait. We could do an entire phone call. We could do an entire seminar. We could do a multi-day seminar on overcoming objection, whatever the reasons they're going to say to you. So we don't want to get into that right now. But that's going to be like your basic structure for each of those two. And the only thing to really stress is follow up. If you don't follow up, somebody's going to get it.
Mhm.
And it's not going to be you if you don't follow up enough. I'll leave that to your, I'll kind of leave that to your, whatever you feel is personally fits for you, or whatever's appropriate. And different things are going to be, if somebody was really warm and friendly, maybe you will follow up with them every other day, or every Monday and every Friday, or every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If somebody's just kind of like, stand off it, but yeah, maybe I might. Maybe you'll just stick to Monday, every Monday. Yeah, you need to follow up. You need to give them something for nothing, because not every other agent is doing that. And even if other agents are doing it, if you could go from 99, just like 99% of agents that are calling them, to just at least 10%, now you're in a much smaller pool. At least you're in the pool that's going to get maybe the interview when they eventually crack. So we're giving them something for nothing. And I'll leave that to Shelley too. I'm sure she's got a million ideas. And even EXP has some ideas about, hey, here's what you can give to somebody. Here's something you can take things that you would normally take on a listing appointment, even, and just say, hey, look, I would normally not even give this to anybody unless they're interviewing me for a job, but I just want to give it to you. If I can help out, even if you sell the house without me, that's something I say to for sale by owners. Even if you sell the house without me,
Love that.
I just want to get you there. If you do wind up interviewing somebody, I really want to interview. I want a chance. But otherwise, all the best. I want to be a resource to you. And tell you what, even if you, in best case scenario, you sell the house yourself, not everybody wants to sell the house themselves. You're a rare breed, my friend. You're going to meet some friends. You're going to have family. You're going to have somebody who wants to buy or sell a home. We do both, by the way. A lot of agents only specialize in one. And you're going to say, you know what? You know who's such a cool guy that didn't even ever want anything from me, that still helped me out? David Poole. You should call him.
Mhm.
Just thinking outside the box. I just wanted to throw that out there that a lot of people might not even consider.
This was so good, David. Thank you. And I think the biggest takeaway I got from this is just to be authentic.
Yes.
You definitely always want to be authentic, but you do need those objection handlers. You need to know what to say when they're, when they have a commission objection or whatever it might be.
Yep.
I did want to ask you, how are you getting the numbers?
I'm on Redx, and
Okay,
I also have a title agent that's giving me whatever frequency they get them. They send me, my title person sends me for sale by owner. They send me expired, canceled. They send me just new listings. They send me like probate, distressed properties, just like general range of needs. If you ever want to get into that, there's a website called Real eFlow, Real-E-Flow, where you can find that's going to be a whole different animal. We'll talk about that another day. But that's when you're trying to go down like a wholesale or a fix and flip route. I wouldn't even get into that unless you're going to do them yourself. If you have the cash, or if you have everybody in this phone call say, go, that's a joint venture. You don't want to work for somebody else. You don't want to work for an investor. We didn't get into this business to work for somebody else. Anyways, I get my for sale by owner info on RedX, and I get my expired canceled on RedX, and then I also get both of those things from a title agent. There's a ton of title agents that are just dying to give you info.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up because our next call, my title rep is coming on because
Right.
she has a bunch of tools. She was just talking to Chris and I the other day about a ton of tools they have. And I said, and I've been using her for years,
Mhm.
but I'm sure there's a lot that I'm not using. And she said, yes, there is
There
a ton
is.
of stuff you're not even using. So yeah, title reps
And
are
one thing I'll say about that, I know I don't want to digress. I know we're probably at time or over on time, but
no, we're good.
please use your title agents. So many agents do not.
Mm-hmm.
And they are such a resource. And maybe they have so many tools in their toolbox, just like Shelly just said. Maybe you have a conversation, get coffee, take them to lunch, and just say, instead of just learning about everything you have, because the list is endless, let me tell you what I am focusing on.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do this. I want to do that. Here's my ideas for my business, for prospecting, for my pipeline. What do you have that you think will be useful for that? So instead of giving you a list of 20 different things that you're never going to use because you're overwhelmed, you're telling them, here's what I'm doing. What do you have that would help me?
Yeah.
My title agent, that's why I turned my camera off. I went and grabbed one of these. She printed these for free for me. She printed 1,000 of these for free for me. And I remembered because we were talking about don't lie to people, don't tell people you have a buyer. I actually do have a buyer for
Mm-hmm.
McCormick Ranch. And I'm gonna send every single house something that says, hey, I have a buyer. I actually do have a buyer. Let me bring them to see your house. I'm not gonna be like the for sale by owner appointments. Hey, I might have a buyer, but let me come see the house and leave you a listing packet while I'm there. And quit being an idiot. List your house with me. No, we're not gonna lie to people. If I actually have a buyer, I'm gonna take the time to actually hit a neighborhood and say, look, my clients picked your neighborhood to live in. Let me bring them to see the house and decide if it's right for them or not. They're gonna tell me if they want to buy your house and how much they want to buy your house for. But we're not gonna be able to do that unless we come look at the house. I'm gonna bring them. Don't even let me in your house if I don't have a buyer with me.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Even if they don't want it, they've already demonstrated they're open to selling their house. Anyways, I'm gonna pick some listings up. Title agent 1,000 of these for $0 for me.
And is your rep on there too, or is it just you? Is your rep's marketing on there?
I'm not anywhere on here.
That's amazing.
Yeah, she's rad.
You guys have a little more latitude. We got that SB whatever here to where they're really limits of what they can give us.
Yes. I didn't know it was that different in Arizona.
They're a little spoiled out in Arizona. I can attest to that.
Yeah, I mean, and I also, one thing I set up, and it was just something to take away a little bit. You scan this, it's going to take you to a video of me, my face. Even if you call me or not, you're going to see my face. You're going to hear my voice, whether you like it or not. That way, you used to get some familiarity with me, and it's me talking about my clients.
Wait, put it back up there. I want to scan it. Cool. There you are.
That's me. I'm saying, look, let me bring them. Let me actually bring my buyer to see your house. And anybody who calls you back is willing to sell their house as a potential listing appointment. And if they do actually, if your buyer is actually interested in it, because you've targeted the neighborhood, you're not just plastering this everywhere. Man, we got into a whole different conversation right now, but you might double in that deal. Right. You might make 4%, 5%. But anyways, I just really wanted to stress that because you mentioned title agents and we're asking where I got that info. Please, 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 please get to know your title people personally. Every title office, again, maybe we're spoiled in Arizona. Every title office has somebody just for marketing, just to appeal to agents, just to try to prospect agents. Saying, hey, we'll do this for you. Hey, we'll do that for you. Again, I think I really am spoiled, but if I get a new listing, I can put it on a broker tour. I'll just call my title agent and say, hey, I have this new listing. I'd really like to schedule a tour. She'll go in the area. She'll find every single listing. She'll say, hey, would you like to be on a broker tour? And every agent in that neighborhood will go tour each other's houses, give each other feedback, say, hey, do you have a buyer for this? Does anybody in your office have a buyer for this? Collaboration. And you look like a hero with your client. Oh, yeah, I put it on broker tour. Like, broker tour, what's that? Well, I've never heard of any other agent that brings 20 agents into the house to try to bring a buyer or whatever it might be, kind of like a mini broker open. Yeah, please get to know your title people personally, utilize them, because there's so many people that don't. They're usually willing to do a little bit more for you because nobody's calling them, nobody's asking them for anything.
Right.
And they have all these resources. Usually they have an allotment that they're allowed to spend every single month. And if you're one of the only people that's even calling them, they might be a little bit extra generous with you. They might make it rain on you.
Right. That's a great
I
goal.
love that. I love things for free. I love not spending my own money.
Right. Yeah, that's so good. Excellent. Does anybody have any questions for David? Nope. I think you answered every question we possibly could have had.
At least we know that we did sufficiently cover expired, canceled, and for sale by owner, because one, those are subjects you could just do different classes on. And two, I tend to just babble and I just go off on tangents and this and that. I'm like, did I even answer that question? Or did I ever even explain for sale by owner to begin with? So I just keep going. And so at least there's no questions. We're in a good spot. We have an understanding. We have a plan, right, to move forward. Who here is actually going to do expired, canceled, or for sale by owner prospecting?
I'm doing those.
Very good.
Yeah.
And we're going to buckle down for 90 days, not 60 days, not 30 days. We're going to buckle down for 90 days of just truly spending 3 hours Monday to Friday, 2 hours, even 1 hour Monday to Friday, where that's all we're doing. We don't even answer the phone. We let it go to voicemail. So not only are we just picking any length of time where we're consistently doing it, but we're also following up with these people. We're putting them in our CRM. We're taking notes. So when we call them back, they remember us, or we remember something about them. They say, oh yeah, I just want to see how are things going. I know your dad wanted to move in and the house isn't big enough. Hey, I had a house that actually came on market. Do you want to go see it? Maybe it has a casita. Maybe your dad would want to live there. But we're following up with these people. We're buckling down. We're not getting discouraged. If we have any problems, we're maybe reaching out to our colleagues, or call me, call Shelly. If you have something that you just are really struggling with, reach out. My email, I'll put it in the chat, or Shelly has it, or Chris has it. They can throw it in the chat. Reach out to Shelly personally, reach out to Chris, reach out to me if you have any questions or about something that you're really struggling with that's just not working for you. I'll help whatever way I can, but just buckle down, really do it. If you decide it's truly not for you, no harm, no foul, but at least you'll say, you know what, I really turned every rock. Or maybe call me, by the way, if you get some listings. Call me if you're like, dude, I'm killing it. I just picked up 3 clients. Please tell me. I want to hear that. That'll be nice. I'll give myself a nice pat on the back for work that you do.
Yeah, I mean, these were such great tips. I'm like, okay, I feel good about it. I feel like I could call the expireds and hopefully get somewhere with them.
You're gonna fall on your face the first couple calls. I just want to put that in before we You're gonna fall on your face. You're gonna feel like you did terrible. Just keep going. Just keep going. I'll tell you what, eventually the reason why people fail in the beginning is because they don't sound confident on the phone and they can't speak from a place from an informed, credible perspective. People can hear that on the phone. They can hear if you're stuttering, if you don't know what you're doing. The only way you're going to get confident is through role play and through just calling. Just call. Eventually, you're going to feel more comfortable and you're just going to speak like somebody who's comfortable and is the person for this job because they just clearly know what they're doing. Just keep doing it. Just keep doing it. Just keep doing it. If you have things that you struggle with, reach out to one of us. Do a mastermind together, or just do a role-playing session once a week for an hour together, or just pick one buddy that you role play with back and forth. Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Dean. Yeah, that's great. That's great. And that's the total key is you just have to keep going. And getting shot down is part of the whole thing. I mean, that's the only way you can learn and get any better. And we've all been there. So,
The only other thing too I'll say is anybody in California, if you have anybody that's relocating to Arizona, to Phoenix, the greater Phoenix area, let me know. My email is in there as well, and I'd love to work with you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. David's our referral partner out there for sure.
Absolutely. And I'm my vice versa.
Yeah. Yeah. You have any, although I don't know why anybody would move from Arizona to here
Never
right
happened.
now.
It would be nice.
Prices
Yeah.
as crazy
I
as
know,
they
I
are.
did.
Thanks, guys.
God. All right. Thank you so much, David. Totally appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And thanks everybody for being on here. Look at that. We're even a little short of time. So
Very good.
great.
Thank you, Shelley.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
guys. Thanks,
Thank
David.
you.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you.
Have a good day.
Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Yulia. Good to see you.
Thank you. Same here.
Okay. We're gonna talk
Oh,
soon.
wait. So now that I have you both on the phone, okay, there was a couple questions I didn't want to, I was intimidated to ask. I didn't understand, but what, who
Never be
is,
intimidated to ask a question.
I know, that's, you know what? It's like,
Well, it's all
Uh,
new to you. So
it's a lot of new information, but then I'm like, okay, if I have that question, then maybe Yulia does too. So, okay, so what was, he said a 15-point plan. I didn't understand that. What was he referring to?
he's talking about a 15-point plan that he has that he created. That
Okay.
shows the things that he's going to do for that seller. Like
Okay.
he's gonna have the house cleaned and he's gonna put a sign in the front yard and he's gonna do open houses and all of that. So he's breaking
Okay.
all of that down to show the seller, which is something that every agent does. But like he said, not every agent is going to have that. So you want to set yourself apart. You know, you want to be different than the 5 million agents who are calling these people.
Yeah.
That's the key. And you know, yeah, that's
Well,
what-
he's a very good communicator. He never stumbled once on his words,
Yeah.
and he, got on without a presentation and just talking about it. So he's sharp. He's really,
yeah.
really
And that's
sharp.
the way to be for that's what I was going to bring up. It's the same for any listing appointment. When you guys get to that point where you're going on listing appointments, is you just want to be authentic and you want to connect with the client and you want to ask questions about what made them buy this house in the first place. And, when they sell, where are they planning to go? You don't want to just come in and start right off with your pitch. And like David said, where you're just, they're telling you things and you're just not listening. You're only focused on, okay, I've got my script, I have what I need to do, and that's all I'm saying. You just need to be a real person, which is what you both are. And when we get to that point, we'll get you there. And we do need to do some role playing. I mean, I will say I'm not fantastic at it with brand new sellers. Most of my sellers have always come from either people I've known or referrals. So now that I'm doing kind of cold calls and cold expired leads, it's different. So I need help too. So, and Chris and I've talked about doing some role play stuff for all of us. So I'll work on that. Because it'll be good. And even it's the same with buyers too. You need to role play those because buyers will have questions.
I think if you make a video of yourself doing it and then you put it on our group chat, we can give you some real-time feedback.
Yeah.
So
that's good too.
And
but
next time
do, for me to act like the seller and you guys to try and get my business.
Yeah.
Right. That kind of thing. And the same with buyers who are going to ask questions. It's always better to say, I don't know. Let me find out for you rather than, spout off something that may or may not be true. It's okay to not know,
Can I share something? I was listening one of our morning, the agent huddle, and one of the Amy, as her, Gabrielle, I think you might know her by now too.
Yeah, she's always on.
Very nice question, like opens the line with anybody, seller or buyer. And the question is, what do you know about the market? And once people start to open up, they tell you about this and that. And this is a very good opening line just to see what they know and maybe answer their questions or concerns or just start the conversation. I think it's a great question.
Yes, I love that.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, that's good.
Well, I mean, meet people where they're at with that, as opposed to, if they're super confident, like he was saying, like ego, then I like that. That's just,
Yeah,
It's a good dialogue.
right, right.
It's
And
a
you
good
just
open
wanna
and
be
fine, and then depends what they know. Like usually people say, oh, the rates are so high. Well, they are high comparison to what? Like a couple before pre-COVID, it was
Right.
normal rates, you know, and just,
Exactly.
you know, but it just opens the conversation.
Mhm.
I love the question. I really do. I'm gonna practice it as soon
Yeah.
as I get the chance.
Good.
Yeah.
Do it.
That's good.
Definitely.
And Shelley, who is our title agent? Like when he was saying get to know them.
Yes. Well, Alex is, it's funny. It's Alex and Sean. They're both women. They are,
Funny,
Alex
the
is
two
gonna,
male names.
uh-huh. Alex is
That's
gonna
hard
come
to
on our
guess.
call. I know, because Chris and I are working on something together, a listing. And I had him talk to Alex, and she called me and she was like, you know, I should do a class for your team and talk about all of these tools that we have over here. And I said, well, we'll come on our call. So she's going to come on in 2 weeks when we have our next call, and she's going to talk to us about the different tools and stuff. And hopefully we'll have some more people on there. And it doesn't matter if she talks about just what she's with Fidelity.
Okay.
Fidelity national title. So it doesn't matter if she only talks about what Fidelity has. I mean, it'll be interesting for other agents to also know, like what David said, reach out to your title people. They have so many resources, and you know, they don't know that you need them if you're not talking to them.
Right.
So they can help with marketing and lists and everything. I mean, I usually call Alex just when I have a question about a new listing I'm doing or something. So there's a bazillion other things that she could be doing. I might actually see if both of them will come on.
Yeah.
Both kind of do different things. So
Are they Diego based? Are they here in the area?
yep, they're in San
Okay.
Diego. I've been using them for years. So they're great. Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
All right, cool. I have to go.
Thank you. Nice to see you, ladies.
Yes, Julia, I'm gonna see you. We've got to figure out a time to get together. Okay, so
Yeah,
we'll
please
text
do.
about
I have so much I want to talk to you about, and I miss you. You know, I need a
Ooh.
little, I need a
I
little
miss you.
information.
Damn it. And so Gabrielle and I are today going to go down, if you're coming, Gabrielle, to
I am.
record some videos in the studio so this is something my escrow officer, Molly, does for me. She has her company has a little studio. So we're just going to go down, record some quick reels, and they look good. The lighting is good, and they're more professional than just doing it on your phone. So
Right.
when you're ready to, and Molly has told me, you bring your whole team down, everybody can come down. We don't have to all do it together. I'll give you the address and you can go down and do it, or come with me or whatever. So we'll do more of those because it's just nice to have, you know, it's good to sprinkle in some more professional looking videos with all the other natural things. But we
Right.
have to be
I'm gonna wear like
posting.
jeans and a blazer kind of thing. Is that cool?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Can
So we'll
Text
do
me
that.
the address.
Yes, I'm going to text you the address.
Okay.
All right. And Julia, let's figure out a time right now. Do you have your schedule for next week?
Yes, I do. Like tomorrow, Thursday, I am available.
I can't do it tomorrow. I have a home
Okay.
inspection all day.
Then Friday, I can do it like maybe 9 o'clock because I have to work at 11.
Okay, perfect. Let's do 9
Okay.
on Friday.
Yeah, Starbucks. Okay.
Yep, same one, same
Yes.
bat place.
Yeah.
All right, you guys.
Let's be good.
day.
Be good, everybody. Bye,
Okay,
Gabriella.
you.
Bye, Shelley.
Bye-bye.
Bye, ladies. Have a good day.